In this example, we're given 2 points on a square root function, a square root graph. One of those is just a generic point. One of them is that point we had called the vertex or the starting point. That point we would plot first, so like 5, 1, for example, and then we'd make the shape of our graph, whichever way it happened to go. So given those 2 points, here's how I can find the equation. Recall that the vertex in quotes number, really represents your h and your k values. Okay? That point then is going to represent x and y. And so really what I'm going to do is take those 4 values and I'll be able to plug them into the form of our radical equations. The only variable we won't know is going to be a. That's going to be our goal, to figure out what a is. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And you may want to plug these numbers in a couple at a time. I'll plug them in all at once, but you do what you need to do. So first up, I've got that y value of 5. So I can start writing out my equation here. I'll have 5 equals. A, like I said, is the one number we don't know. That's what we're going to be trying to find. Times the square root of, next up came that x value. So I'll plug in 9 for x. My h value, remember, we always have to change the sign on that h value. So since we have a positive 5 up here as our vertex point, I'm going to make sure I have a minus 5 in the square root. And then the k value at the end is just what it says it's going to be, so that k value is going to be a plus 1. So I've gone ahead and plugged in all 4 of those values. The only one I don't know is a, but now I should be able to solve for a and then write the equation to finish this problem out. So let's start with what's inside that radical. Square root of 9 minus 5, I can just change that to the square root of 4, plus 1. If I go ahead and take the square root of 4, hopefully they've given me an easy enough one to do. Square root of 4 is just 2. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to write that as 2a plus 1. Too many times I see people write this as like a and then a 2, and they add the 1 to it right away and get a 3. We definitely don't want to do that. So 2a plus 1. From here, I'll continue solving like normal. So let's subtract 1 from each side. I'll get 4 equals 2a. And then finally divide both sides by 2. I end up with an a value of 2. Now after all that work, don't forget what we're actually trying to do in this problem. They weren't asking for a, they were asking us to write an equation, but now that we know a, we can do that. So what I'll do is, to get my final answer, equations will have x and y in them. So I'll say y equals, we now know our a value is 2, times the square root. I'm going to leave x in there. Remember, our equation will have x and y in it, and then finish with what our h and k values were, a minus 5 and a plus 1. And a really easy way to check these problems is go ahead and enter this into your graphing calculator, check the table, and make sure those 2 points, the 5, 1 and the 9, 5, come up in your table.